Don't hurt me no more. But no, really, I want to know what it is. Like, what is love? I want to know.
Almost 10 years in relationships, I realised how used to being in love I was. I have so much love to give, so naturally I quickly connected with someone else.
Okay, you are amazing and you're funny and you're good looking, and he was like...
It was all you were talking about.
Yeah, but I wasn't seeing him for what he was either. I was like blurring out all of the...
It's been my first chance in my whole life to experience what it's like being single.
He wanted it to just be like, that's me, that's him, and that's our life there. Whereas it should be like just overlapping. You're still a full person, they're still a full person, you do all your own things, and then you share a relationship.
I need to ask you questions.
About what?
Our relationship and how you feel about something.
I have told you all my stuff now, and I
Yeah.
think we're like a lot closer because
Yeah,
like...
that's true.
How are yous? Welcome back for another Habits I Formed in My 20s video. This is the 4th episode of this series. I have done skincare habits, sexual habits, and food habits as well, and they're all linked in a playlist down below. Before you go and check them out after this video, make sure you subscribe and thumbs up while you're down there and ring that bell. Helps your old Irish granny out with the YouTube algorithm. But I'm just going to fire into today's episode because I've been so excited to make this one. I feel like this has the potential to help a lot of people. I'm going to be talking about mainly habits around having and forming healthy relationships. I experienced my fair share of toxic relationship BS in my teens and in my 20s, and I'm not putting all that blame onto past partners. I had no idea how to have a healthy relationship, and I think a lot of us...
I don't understand.
Jesus
I experienced
Christ!
my fair share of toxic...
Eavesdropping bitch. No, I'm sure like a lot of you, I always heard these things that a healthy relationship needs, mutuality and trust and peace and respect, and people would just say these things, but it didn't really mean anything to me because I didn't know how to do the thing, how to just have the thing, the healthy relationship that I always wanted.
No, just wait a minute. We're not really breaking up, are we? Come on.
And I am in an extremely happy and healthy relationship now. We're not perfect. No couple is, but I feel like my relationship is as close to perfect as any relationship could be. And it's because we're putting the work in, the time and the effort, because we love each other so much. We're engaged, getting married next year. Very excited. And because I have done so much self-education and so much work on myself regarding relationships, I thought to celebrate my beautiful relationship that I am so very blessed to have with this person I've been friends with for so many years, I thought I would make this video and condense everything I've learned through dating, through experience and reading books and watching talks and all of the things, just everything I've learned about having a kick-ass relationship. Here are all the habits I have formed. This first habit is an ongoing thing and something I wouldn't say I'm working on it every day, but I'm chipping off on it every single month of my life, is emotion regulation. And I'm going to explain what that means, but I do think it's something that you get better at as time goes by, and you almost kind of have to have a few fuck-ups and bad experiences to really learn this about yourself. Some people are just naturally great at regulating their emotions and having the insight. Say there's this situation and your natural instinct is to kind of almost go toward bringing conflict about. So say you think something or you assume something and you will package that and say that to your partner in a certain way, or you'll pull away from them, or you'll explode at them, you'll break down and you'll think, oh, this person doesn't love me, or all these things. The way our emotions can really get the better of us. Guys, girls, whoever's listening, you have got to learn about yourself and work on yourself and change those behaviours, any kind of toxic behaviours that you're bringing to the table. We can't control how someone else reacts. We can control who we pick. That's on a later point, but this point is all about you and essentially making yourself be the kind of person you'd want to date. You know what I mean? I always say this to people, and I think it's a really great point and it's a great line, especially when you're single, to kind of bring yourself back to. If you are desiring a committed relationship with another person, you're gonna have a list of things that you would like: a funny person, a kind person, a patient person, an understanding person, a person with high standards who won't let you walk all over them. Something I didn't put much thought to when I was a lot younger is that I wasn't the person who I would want to date. So I took it upon myself to make myself become that person, to grow into the person that I wanted to be, so that I had a lot to offer another person. And, you know, and I'm still not like fully there. I still have my issues. I'm in therapy right now. Kind of a lot to do with my attachment style, fears of abandonment, all that kind of good stuff that comes up from past relationships and childhood. But like, I am striving for better all the time, and it is a habit that I think every single person needs if they want to be happy with another person. Next habit, so important, knowing how to identify what I want at any point in time, and furthermore, how to communicate that to another person. In certain dating situations, I would know within a few weeks if I wanted to be with that person. I made a habit of really listening to my gut feeling, you know, that like just deep inner feeling, and not ignoring that. And yes, I fucked this up many times. Like, there were certain times where what I really wanted was to just be casual and to be single and to be free, and then I would kind of get into a relationship out of like, not guilt, but just kind of feeling like I should, or that I had to, or that it would be a good idea even though it wasn't really what I wanted. And then on the flip side of that, I have been in a couple of situations, I'd say like max 2 times, where I wanted more than what the other person was willing to give me, and thankfully I stood my ground and cut ties, and that was that. I see people and hear of people all the time hanging about and just waiting for this person to just like pick them up like they're a toy. It's like, no, move on with your life. Don't be a train that's stopping at this station. It's not a good look, it's not good for your brain, not good for your mental health. Linked to that last point, my next habit is communication. And dear Jesus, this is still a habit that I'm sharpening the most. Even last night, I made some strides on this. Like, I had an issue with my partner, and immediately just texted him calmly, no exclamation marks, no capital letters, you know, just asking a question outright. And then he was like, right, want me to come around and talk about it? So he came around and talked about it, and we talked for a few hours. I never would have been able to do that a few years ago. I just would have gone into my cave. I used to pull away, and this is a toxic relationship behavior. I would go really quiet and give silent treatment and almost just expect the other person to figure it out. And you know, I still to a degree go into myself a little, but this used to go on for days, like days and days, and now it might be 20 minutes. And that's a huge kind of change in my habits of how I respond, and it's been so fucking good for me and so good for our relationship that I have managed to kind of figure out how to just sit down, lay my cards out, sort through them, put them back into a nice neat little pile and put them back in the card box. No name calling, no or minimal swearing. Really bad issues for me in the past and previous relationships, you know, things would escalate and it would be all of the ugly words and the threats and the, you know, well, threatening to leave the relationship and just all of these awful things that just feel horrible for both parties. And if you're with someone who's doing these things, that's another habit, is just kind of learning to know when something isn't worth working on. Do you know what I mean? Because if someone isn't willing to change or to grow, you can't help them to. All you can do is kind of focus on you, you know? So yeah, I got much better at communicating. The next habit is like side by side linked with communication is vulnerability and learning to be vulnerable. And it is a painful process, and it's a really hard one to form, hard habit to build. It's definitely not one of those habits that you can just practice for 28 days and then it sticks. This is something that takes years of graft, because to be truly vulnerable is to say things that are very embarrassing and awkward and uncomfortable, and society teaches us to repress all of these feelings, the feelings that make us vulnerable. You know, if you're always reading these quotes on Twitter about, you know, crazy women, or you're seeing people talk about how jealousy is an extremely unhealthy thing, you start to almost like, I know I did, I started to like internalize that and to tell myself that any natural feelings of jealousy, which we all have, not just in romantic relationships, jealousy is a very natural feeling that even as toddlers we have. If someone takes our toy and plays with our toy, we're like, that's my toy, give it back. For a few years during my 20s, I would deny myself those feelings, and I would pretend that I didn't feel them, or act like I didn't feel them, or push them down, and they can come out in terrible ways then as soon as you are very comfortable with another person. So, you know, I like to be able to just say, oh, I have this jealous feeling, and to analyze it and look at it with my partner and look at like, is it baseless, or is there something that my partner could do to make me feel that less, or is he contributing to, or am I just imagining things, stuff like that. And then being vulnerable about your insecurities as well. As a lot of you know, I have a denture in my mouth, so I'm like missing a tooth. I am 30, so my hair is going grey, and if I've not had a dye job, I can get insecure about that, and just like all of the usual physical things, or comparing yourself to other people, all these silly things that we do and that we're all constantly fighting against. But yeah, just being able to be really candid and honest and transparent with a partner, it makes such a world of difference, and it makes you feel so much closer to them as well. It takes this huge weight off you as well, like a problem shared is a problem halved, all of that. You know you're in a healthy relationship if you can be vulnerable and the other person wants to listen to you and hears you, listens to you, wants that connection. This next one is huge, and I guarantee every single one of you knows someone that this video will help, this next part, and if so, send it to them. Please just send the link to them. Distinguishing between infatuation and love in the early stages of a relationship. By early stages, I mean within the first, say, 6 months. When we meet someone that we have physical chemistry with, and you know, that can be based around a whole bunch of things like pheromones and personality, and you know, if they're your type or whatever. I know not everyone has a type, and if you do have a type, comment your type down below. But we get about 6 months to 18 months of these hormones, chemicals, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, you know, they're all swimming around in our brains. They make us crazy, and we can make huge life decisions based on these feelings, this feeling of love, when it isn't real love, if you get me. And I'm not saying you need to be with someone 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to know if you love them or not. That's not what I mean at all. I'm with my partner 2 to 2.5 years, but we were friends for like 10 years before that, so we already knew each other so well before we were together. So we didn't get a long honeymoon period. I think ours kind of ended probably about 9 months, and we lived together for a few months in this really small room, and yeah, like that killed any of the honeymoon feels, like those butterflies that you get and everything. You all know what I mean. Honeymoon, butterflies, they're magical. It's amazing. It's an amazing time. But some people, like I have in the past, I have made huge decisions based on these feelings. I moved across the world to Los Angeles to live with someone who I dated. I was having a long distance thing after we met, and then I moved over there for a couple of months, and like I was kind of making these big life decisions on fuzzy chemicals that were not rooted in anything real. You can't know someone within a couple of months. You can't. When you first get with someone, you're on your best behavior. You are like holiday mode version of you. You're always kind of grooming yourself, and you're always in a good mood, and you hide away all of the parts of yourself that you might be kind of less secure or happy about, you know, and you've not had a chance to see each other in a wide variety of environments, like with one another's families, on trips, in work situations, in an argument, in a conflict, like, because sometimes that might not come for quite a long time after you meet someone. And yeah, like what a lot of people do is they feel all these feelings for a kind of person that they wouldn't actually want a relationship with if they knew the full person, and they kind of get to the other side of this cloud of honeymoon phase, and then they're like, oh god, we don't have much in common, we're not compatible, we don't want the same things in life. You want children, I don't. You want to live in Wales, I want to live in Japan. Like, you might find out all sorts of stuff down the line, political views, religious views, family dynamics, like so many different things that you just can't know when you're in that haze. And I think when you get through all of those hormones and that, and you still make the decision every day to show up in that relationship and to be a person of love. Like, I have seen videos and read stuff about all these studies around like all of these old couples who've been married for like 40, 50, 60 years, and they all use the word decision when talking about, you know, what has kept their marriage so happy for so many years. And this is not a habit I ever practiced in past relationships, and I feel like that may have massively contributed to them going sour. But in my current relationship, I make a choice every day to show up and to do loving things and to be loving and to act loving, even if I'm not feeling it, because love isn't this fleeting thing. Like, you can't just be loving and give hugs when you feel like it, and then if you're not in the best mood or whatever, then just be like, oh no, I'm not going to bother talking to that person for a few weeks until I'm feeling better again, until I'm feeling like being loving again. If I have premenstrual syndrome and I'm all over the place before my period, like, I'll force myself sometimes to just go over and like go up and hug Thomas, and feelings of love follow that loving act. Do you know what I mean? It is amazing, and it just is so true. Like, you can look at couples who've been together for so long, and because they still prioritize one another, they listen to each other, they go on date nights. That's another habit later, but yeah, okay, I'll segue then onto date nights. That is such a habit that I am so passionate about, like doing new things together, traveling together. You learn so much about each other and about the world, and you kind of grow as a unit. Like, I'm very behind two individuals remaining individuals that share a life together, rather than becoming like this one blob. We're a we, never a you and I. However, you do have to nurture that part where your lives overlap, that the relationship. You need to nurture that, and doing new things is the best way to keep things interesting. Obviously in my sex habits video I talked about spicing things up and all that kind of thing, but I feel like doing that when it comes to dates is super important. So like, literally tonight Thomas and I are going to Tipperary, to this place called the Rock of Cashel, and we're staying in a hotel and has a swimming pool and a hot tub, and we're just gonna essentially do what we did when we first got together and like court one another. Flirting is another habit, like keeping the flirting going on. Like, don't let that, even if you are married years and you have kids and everything like that, I know that you can get into these routines and these ruts. You both will form these roles within the house and within each other's lives, but it's so important to keep the flirting there. Playfulness, that is like relationship glue. And also, obviously at the start of a new relationship, you want to be playful. You want to be the fun person that is like an escape from the world for this person that you're dating. You don't want every time you meet up to be having these big, heavy, serious conversations about like life and death and all this. You want to just be able to have a silly laugh and forget about all of the anxieties of the news and of everything else and of work, and just be fun and just play. Those of you who watch my monthly vlogs will probably know that me and Thomas like talk to each other in these stupid voices sometimes, and we do not film like not even half, like 3/4 of the amount of weirdness that like how we are when we're with each other, but we just kind of are this fun escape for each other. And it's great. And I always get comments like, it's either one of two comments. It's like, oh, tone it back, that's so gross, stop being so coupley, or it's just like, we love this, more of this. So I try and listen to those people because I just like to share my joy. There's enough misery and shit in the world, isn't there? A good habit is to recognize toxic relationships and red flags early on, so that you don't waste a bunch of time like I did. But then again, maybe we need to waste time to learn these things. But if your partner is consistently lying to you, isolating you from other friends, other family members, for whatever bloody weird reasons they give, if they're kind of trying to get you to a place where they're your only person of support and cutting apart your support network, it's so fucked up. Like, if they're manipulating you, if they invade your privacy, like taking your passwords and going through all of your emails, or stealing your phone when you're not there, or going through your drawers or anything like that, not cool. Another toxic behavior that I hate, and I hate it so much as well because I used to do this, like it is so awful, and my first long-term boyfriend used to do this as well, playing hot and cold, like being super into the other person and committed and loving and loyal one day, and then the next day just flipping like a pancake and being the complete opposite of that in every regard. And it's like almost keeping someone on a leash. Like, it's so destructive. It's awful. Learn to look out for those signs in other people in your relationship, but also if you're bringing those things to the relationship. And if you are, back to that first point, self-education, therapy. Going back again to something I said earlier, but I didn't really say this part, is having a conflict resolution strategy. Thomas and I have these code words so that we don't keep repeating the same arguments over and over again. Like this one thing happened when we were visiting Gibraltar in Spain. So we use the word Gibraltar as our code word. Our code words surrounding PMS are great. We've got sausage, which means, like, full sausage means I don't want to talk, I am feeling awful and hormonal and terrible, and it's nothing to do with you, but if we talk, I might end up biting your head off, so leave me alone. And he respects that. When I'm cocktail sausage though, I'm feeling all those things, but I want cuddles and to eat chocolate and to cozy and to hug each other and to be minded. So yeah, we've a list of like this long of different code words, and I think it's really smart and healthy to have these strategies to kind of avoid the same repetitive fights happening over and over again. Tension is inevitable, but damage to your relationship isn't, and you just need to like really be honest with yourself and look at your patterns. Like, don't shout, don't storm off, don't go and vent to like all of your friends about your partner instead of going directly to them and talking to them about your issue. Like, I remember being in college and friends would constantly come to me like bitching about their partners like day, noon and night, and I'd be like, have you brought up any of this with your partner? And they'd be like, oh no, I can't talk to him about it. And that is just such a bad red flag. Like, oh, you have to be able to. All of these things are responses to fear. And when we're afraid, we do crazy shit. Like, sit your ass down and speak to your partner and stay there and solve it and be able to say sorry. Allow for nuance and complexity in the argument, and just, you know, be a team. Go at it like a team. And I really hope this video is getting through to some people, because realizing all these things changed my life. And I feel like if you're watching this video, it means you want to address things, or you want to learn, you want to grow, which is a good sign. So thanks for watching. But yeah, I really want everyone just to be happy. So yeah, my final habit, what I would say, you know, a lot of these things, so many of the little habits were tied up in those like bigger overarching ideas that I've shared, but this one is quite simple. It's just like simple gestures, you know, doing little things for each other when it's not a birthday or Christmas or an anniversary. Like, just doing little things constantly, consistently, to show that you care, to show that you appreciate the other person, and thank them and acknowledge them when they do those things for you. It's very easy to kind of adjust and get used to these kind of really nice little acts of service that someone might do. You know, sometimes Thomas goes and he'll pick me up a little treat in the shop, and he'll come in and he'll be like, oh, look what I got you. And I always try and be so grateful, because, you know, I don't want that to go away. And if he knows that it makes me really happy, then he will hopefully continue to do it. Maybe he's watching. Keep buying me those little tubs of Pringles, baby. I love it when you do. So that is that. Those are some relationship habits that I formed in my 20s that I really hope will enrich your future relationships and your life. And please let me know if they helped you in any way. Thumbs the video up, please, because it really helps me out with the algorithm. And share this video with a friend, anyone you think it might help. I'll see you again in another video very, very soon.